I think you're tired.
Welcome to the Fishing Guide Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Wiegmann. I know who I am, and I know that's Kirby. And so I'm going to let you run with it. Okay. Who are you? Why are you here?
I don't know, man. I just I've been a big fan of yours for a long time, and I'm happy to be on the show. And we're down here in Mississippi at the incredible Crappie Compound, which is a beautiful home.
That's right, Sergeant.
Les and Lois Smith, who are the epitome of a Southern host.
That's right.
And
absolutely.
Nobody lives the crappie lifestyle better than Les Smith. And he came up with the idea at the Grizzly Jig Show that, hey, we should give away a prize for the winners.
Right.
Or for
the drawing.
For the drawing. And it went over like wildfire the first year. And actually it was last year was a very moving experience because a kid that had just battled and came out on top of leukemia.
Wow.
Won. And he's like an 8-year-old kid, and he loved to fish. Right. And 2 years ago, we had that horrible storm that came through the Midwest, and nobody really showed up at the Grizzly Jig. But this kid said, we're going because I want to try to enter that contest. And lo and behold, it wasn't rigged or anything like that. They drew his name. The kid came down here and got to go fishing with, Duck Dynasty legend John Godwin. And if you check out my show, Fish Eat Live, we cover it. And it just was a great, camaraderie of people that share the same crappie fishing lifestyle. Like I know you do.
Yeah, and so we're down here with all these people, and so we've been doing some podcast shows and stuff. But let's visit a little bit about what you do. You are a jack of all trades and a master of all.
Hey, man, I knew I wanted to do your podcast. I appreciate that.
Tell us what you do.
Man, I think I'm a unicorn. I think I might be the only crappie fishing DJ in America.
You are.
Do you know any other crappie fishing DJs?
No, absolutely not.
I mean, maybe there's some guys that DJ that crappie fish, but I kind of do it on a broader scale.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm very.
So tell us. So you're a DJ, huh? How does that go? Do you get paid for it?
Yeah.
And
I mean, I didn't get paid a lot for it when I was younger because I was just doing it for the ladies and the parties.
Ladies,
you know what I mean?
Parties.
Yeah. But eventually, I ran into a couple of keepers, and I'm like, well, I better turn this partying into a career, and so I started getting into. How can I actually become a DJ where I can actually, make a nice living? And I always worked radio. I've always loved radio. And so I got into...
You have a face for radio.
Yeah, that's what everybody says.
Yeah.
But anyway, I ended up having some success in radio and got syndicated on a couple of stations.
Sweet.
And, was in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing, and met some great people in radio that have basically allowed me to have an incredible career where I travel across the country and I do my parlor tricks and people know me from the radio, so they know they're getting kind of a good quality mix show DJ. And from the DJ world, there's a lot of pitfalls that you can fall into.
Right.
Nothing happens good after 2 a.m. And it's my job. It's my job to whip these people into a frenzy at 2 a.m. and then turn them loose on the world so they can go do their dirty business. Well, when you're the ringleader for that, you either have to go to Denny's, you got to go to the casino, or you got to go get into trouble. And all three of them are bad things. So what I decided to do was I'm going to schedule fishing trips after my big events so that it would force me to go home and get some sleep and take my family out and show them a wholesome day out on the water. And we love to eat crappie like everybody does. So I kind of focused on that. And the more that my popularity grew in the DJ world and the radio, and the more shows that I ended up, getting on the radio. At one time I had 64 different shows across the nation.
Wow.
And I've got a really good syndicated show on Cumulus Radio right now. It's a 80s dance party.
Oh, wow.
And then I'm a local radio personality in Kansas City where I have a couple of specialty shows on other stations. So in Kansas City, you can turn your radio on Saturday night, and I'm on like 3 different channels.
Wow. People are like, how does that happen?
He's crazy. So,
but then that leads you into fishing somehow.
Yeah, because, I would, I always felt like, when your job is to make people crazy.
Right.
In the nightclubs,
right.
You leave and you're pretty hyped up yourself. And
right.
so
I can imagine you. You're pretty hyped up, dude. Like you would be like, when they show people crawling on the ceiling.
Yeah, I can.
That would be you.
Yeah. But anyway, the more that my popularity grew, the more I needed an outlet, the more something I needed to ground me, to keep me humble. And to keep me in touch with my higher power, my God, my Jesus. I don't want to go off on a Bible rant here, but I needed to have an outlet where I could, refuel my soul, because and so I picked the wholesome outdoors and going crappie fishing, and the more that I got, a little bit of notoriety or fame or clout or whatever you want to call it, or success, the more I needed something to say, hey, you're just a hick from Kansas that likes to catch crappie.
Right.
Don't get so full of yourself, because when you get full of yourself, it only leads to bad things. You know what I mean? Your ego will be your end-all, be-all killer in everything. In any great drama in the world, it's always the ego that destroys the man. You know what I mean? So, and there's nothing more humbling than going out and trying to solve the crappie puzzle. Because it's an ever-moving piece. And some days you'll catch 1,000 of them, and other days you'll get skunked. And I love a good puzzle.
Yeah, and so part of your background came from when you were doing a GJ and you were working with Garmin. All of a sudden doing the parties, you got connections, and then you fall into this, all of a sudden evolving into live scope.
Man, it is
and there
so weird.
You are.
It is so weird how worlds intertwine. It's so. I mean, you and I did a show from John's Sporting Goods a few years ago.
Yeah, in Kansas.
And then we ended up going fishing, and you did a great little piece on me, and I sincerely appreciate the notoriety that gave me. We had a good time fishing.
It was a good time fishing.
Good time fishing, and if you treat people well and you treat them nice, the sky's the limit. You could ask me, anything, and I'd try to help you out in any way, shape, or form. And crappie fishermen, in my opinion, are the best. They're the most wholesome, down-to-earth people. A lot of them fish, just for the camaraderie.
Right.
Les Smith, who hosts this incredible crappie getaway giveaway, I did a show with him one time, and I said, do you think you get 100 phone calls a day about crappie fishermen? And he's like, oh, no, man, I don't get that many calls. I don't get that many calls, Kirby. And I'm like, well, I've counted 62, and it's only 10 a.m. Oh, really? So, it's fun to help other people, and I've been very blessed to entertain people in the DJ world and help create memories with my crappie guide business. And I've gotten pretty good at catching crappie and helping other people catch crappie, and then I get a phone call from Garmin that says, hey, we're going to start selling sonar units. I'm like, sonar units? You're in the aviation department. And they're like, well, we've got a sonar that we created in the aviation department, but we think we can utilize it underwater. Would you be interested? And at the time, I wasn't really interested, because I had the end-all, be-all Humminbird 360, and I thought, which was the cat's meow back in the day.
It still is cat's meow.
It's still great, yeah. And so I was a little apprehensive to go with a company that just was entering the sonar world with basic downward sonar and a little bit of chirp technology that they were talking about. But I said, yeah, let's do it, because I like the people at Garmin. They've always treated me good in the DJ world.
Right.
And then the next thing I know, they start developing this technology, and they say, hey, Kirby, we've got this thing that we want you to put on your YouTube channel, which at the time was Crappie Kirby.
Right.
I remember the first time I saw it was a giant transducer about the size of a shoebox.
Right.
You needed like 9 brackets to get it, mounted on your boat so you didn't lose it. It was a beast. But I remember looking at the screen, I'm like, I can see my lure.
Right.
I know exactly where my lure is. I can see it, how far I cast. I can see the brush pile. I can see the fish coming after my lure. Here's a funny story. So, when you fish the spawn, you always throw those road runners, those fin spins, those underspins. Well, what happened is I would throw it, and I would see it, and I would see a fish start actually, following my bait.
Right.
And what I would do is I would go, oh, I'm going to get a bite, and I would stop reeling. And my bait would go immediately to the underneath the crappie, and the crappie would swim off. So what I would have to do is I would have to throw out, cast, see the crappie coming towards my bait, and I would close my eyes. And then I'd feel the thump and I'd set it. But I knew that it was coming. So that was the first technology that Garmin put out, Panoptics. And they sent me to ICAST because I've got a pretty good radio speaking voice. And I was talking about that. And I ran into a lot of the people that I idolized at ICAST, like Ronnie Capps and Steve Coleman, Carl Kalanka, all these people, Russ Bailey, that had television shows that I would watch feverishly because I'm strictly crappie. I just love crappie fishing. And so and I told them, like, you got to check out this technology. They wouldn't buy it. They just thought I was crazy. I was coming off too strong, I guess. Yeah. And then so about a year later, Garmin came back to me and said, hey, we got an upgrade. It's called Live Scope. We want you to try it. And I'm like, okay. And so then I went back the next year, and I went up to him, like, you got to come to my seminar. And the first day, nobody comes. Second day, nobody comes. Third day, I finally get Steve Coleman to come, and I beg him. I'm like, you have to hear what I'm saying. And Steve, who was sponsored by Humminbird at the time, he actually came up and took a look, and ding, I saw the light bulb go off in his mind. And when I was done speaking, he walked right to me, which was the biggest honor you could ever imagine. And he started asking me questions. And I knew by the questions that he asked me, he was thinking how he can take that technology and help him win his 9th national championship. He was thinking, this is going to help. And then the next hour, he brought, Ronnie Capps over, and then the next hour, Russ Bailey was there, and then by the fourth day at like 8 a.m. when there was nobody there, I had like 60 people. Like Bill Dance was there, and it was very cool to be able to speak on something that these guys had no idea. These people that I idolized, and the best fishermen on the planet, I had one up on them. You know what I mean? And now they're 10 times better than me at it, because that's just the caliber of guys they are.
So you also do like educational little tidbit things, and
I get to speak at a lot of great crappie fishing businesses like Grizzly Jig, Bass Pro Shop. I go to fishing clubs in Kansas City that need somebody to talk to about how to help these guys. I get to help Boy Scouts get fishing badges, which is quite an honor, and Girl Scouts as well. So it really pays for the soul to give back to the community and share the knowledge. I mean, I know there's fishermen out there that got their secret holes and their secret tips and tricks, but the people that I enjoy hanging out with are, the pro staffs that are giving in the knowledge. All the people on the B&M pro staff, the PICO Lures pro staff.
There you go.
Crappie magnets. There's just a lot of really good people in the crappie fishing game. Mitch Glenn, PICO Lures. He was one of the first people that it's like, Kirby, whatever you need. We make a great crappie crankbait. And I looked him right in the eye. I'm like, you catch crappie on crankbaits? And now I've found out through Fishy Live and interviewing these, pros like Joel Harris and Steve Coleman and Ronnie Capps and Kent Driscoll and all the John Harrisons there are. I think there's
they keep spawning like every spawn.
Crankbait fishing's like one of the best ways to catch crappie. So it's just about sharing the knowledge so that people have the confidence to go out and do it themselves. I mean, who gave you the confidence to become an outdoors person?
Man, going out there, my parents. were real active and got me going in the outdoors. So we did hunting and we did fishing.
Yeah.
Really kind of like the fishing part better.
What was the first memory you have of fishing? Do you remember? Like the first?
No, I'm so old I can't remember stuff like that.
You can't?
But I can remember that we went and we bought our fishing gear at a gas station, and it was Holiday.
Yeah.
Holiday was the name, and they were red and black, and they were spin cast. And I remember we bought them at a gas station somewhere in Iowa.
Yeah.
And so,
did you have a successful day after that?
I have no idea. I just remember buying that stuff.
That one little thing.
That one thing, and they're no longer in service. But
that's kind of.
But that's where it begins. It begins with youth, and it's. Like you said, it's our job to keep those active and keep them going and get them involved. And I think the electronics are getting more youth to fish. Otherwise, those kids wouldn't have gone fishing.
Well, there's nothing more discouraging to the fishing world than a bored kid on the boat.
Right,
you know
exactly.
I mean? And the technology basically is a bird dog now for people to know where to fish.
Right.
They can look around under the water and be like, it doesn't matter what bait we throw at them. There's no fish here. You know what I mean? And then you go to another spot. There they are. They're right over there. All we have to do is be subtle, quiet. We cast out there, and you make that memory. And that's kind of what Fish Eat Live, the show that I've been entrusted to interview the best fishermen on the planet, is all about, is giving people those little tips, those little techniques to help them go out and be successful and create great memories out on the water.
There you go. And that takes us up to PICO Lures, which is their part is tackle time. And tackle time, of course, we talk about lures, but we've already talked about the crankbaits. But they have a complete line of hard and soft baits, so you can check them out there. They also have Vanguard Tackle, which is a line of fishing tools. Check them out. High quality, affordable products that you can get that like scissors, tools, pliers, stuff like that. So you can check them out at PICOLures.com.
And I appreciate you getting me some of those for this interview.
Yeah, there you go. Look at that. Always trying to get a freebie.
There you go.
But if they want to find out more about you, Kirby, where would they go?
Well, if they want to hire me for a DJ, you go to djkirbykc.com. I travel all over the country doing my parlor tricks, as I call them.
All right.
I'm very good at corporate events, wedding receptions, bar and bat mitzvahs, pool parties, anything opening up for concert acts. I've kind of covered the whole gamut. But if you really want to have fun, go to www.crappiekirby.com and get your kids out there, get your wife out there, and get your butt outdoors, and let me show you a good time catching some crappie. I'll clean them for you. This Fish Eat Live show, not only do we fish with the pros and get all their tips and techniques, which is Sunday at 6 p.m., we find out about their lifestyles, how they got where they are, and the success that they have earned and achieved. And then the best part, the eat part, we get their recipes. And I'll clean all the fish for you and give you some great recipes.
There you go. There you have it. Like we always like to end the show, make sure you keep your hook sharp and your lures in the water.
Hook sharp, lures in the water. I like that, Brad.
Thank you.
I might steal that from you. Hook sharp, lures in the water. Thanks, buddy.